You want to believe what happened when a brilliant black doctor saved the life of a woman who hated everything he stood for. And the moment she opened her eyes, instead of gratitude, she was furious. If you're new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell icon. Because today's story is one of those moments that will leave you speechless, angry, and inspired all at once. Alright, let's dive in. Dr. Marcus Hill never believed in destiny. He believed in hard work, discipline, and the idea that saving lives should always come before ego or emotion. At 38, Marcus was one of the youngest trauma surgeons at St. Vincent's Hospital in Atlanta, a black man who'd fought his way through prejudice, sleepless nights, and every kind of bias the system could throw at him. His reputation was solid, precise hands, calm under pressure, and a heart that refused to quit. But one night, that reputation would be tested in a way he never imagined. It was past midnight when the ambulance pulled in. A white woman in her late 50s, multiple fractures, internal bleeding, unresponsive. Car crash on the interstate. Her husband, still at the scene, had died instantly. When the paramedics rolled her in, Marcus didn't hesitate. He called out for Trauma Room 3, ordered blood transfusions, and scrubbed it in before anyone could even finish briefing him. Severe abdominal bleeding, ruptured spleen, one nurse reported. "Let's move," Marcus said firmly. As he leaned over her, he noticed something strange, a tattoo on her wrist, faded but still readable. A small Confederate flag with the words Southern Pride inked beneath it. For a brief moment, something cold passed through his chest. He'd seen enough of those symbols growing up to know exactly what it meant, but Marcus didn't stop. He couldn't. In that room, race didn't exist. Only life and death did. The surgery lasted 5 hours. His team worked like a machine, cutting, stitching, stabilizing, every second counted. And when her vitals finally normalized, Marcus exhaled deeply and muttered, "We got her." The nurses clapped lightly, relieved. Another life saved. Another night conquered. But as Marcus peeled off his gloves, the tattoo flashed in his mind again. "You just saved someone who might have spat in your face if she were awake," he thought. Still, that didn't matter. It couldn't matter. By morning, the woman, Eleanor Whitfield, was transferred to the ICU. Her chart showed she was from a wealthy suburb outside the city. Widow of a retired colonel, mother of 3 grown children. Marcus did his rounds, checking her vitals, adjusting her medications, monitoring her progress. She was stable, but heavily sedated. Later that day, one of the nurses, Lisa, approached him. "Dr. Hill, you might want to know something." Her son came by earlier. "Okay," and Marcus asked, typing notes into the chart. "He wasn't happy when he saw your name on the board." Marcus stopped typing. "Meaning?" "Meaning he asked if there was someone else who could take over her case. Said his mother wouldn't be comfortable, you know?" Marcus closed his eyes and sighed. He'd heard that line too many times in his life. "Tell him his mother's alive because of me," he said quietly. 2 days later, Eleanor woke up. Her eyes fluttered open, confused, scared. Machines beeped softly around her. Marcus was right there, checking her for. "Good morning, Mrs. Whitfield," he said gently. "You're at St. Vincent's. You were in a car accident, but you're going to be fine." She blinked, struggling to focus. Her lips trembled as she tried to speak. "My husband," Marcus hesitated. "I'm sorry." He didn't make it. For a long moment, she just stared, then began to cry quietly. Marcus gave her space, letting her grief spill out. But as the minutes passed, her eyes slowly shifted, studying him, really seeing him for the first time. Her tears stopped. "Who are you?" she whispered. "I'm Dr. Marcus Hill," he said. "I was your lead surgeon." "You're alive because of the team we had that night." Her expression changed, confusion twisting into something sharp. Her brows furrowed, her lips tightened, and then she said something Marcus would never forget. "You're my doctor?" "Yes, ma'am," he said calmly. Her next words hit like a slap. "I want another one." The room fell silent. Even the machine seemed to pause. Marcus stood there, stunned, but steady. "Ma'am, I assure you, you're in good hands." I said I want another doctor, she repeated, louder this time. I don't want you. He felt every nurse's eyes on him. The air thickened with tension. Marcus took a slow breath. I understand you're upset, Mrs. Whitfield. You've been through a trauma. But medically, you're stable because of the care you've received. She turned her head away, refusing to look at him. Get someone else. He nodded once and walked out of the room without another word. Out in the hallway, Nurse Lisa caught up with him. Marcus, I'm sorry. It's fine, he said, though his jaw was tight. She doesn't have to like me. She just has to live. But deep down it wasn't fine. Because this wasn't just a patient being difficult. It was a wound that never really healed, the one he'd been forced to carry his whole life. He'd worked twice as hard to earn the same respect others got automatically. He'd saved countless lives, but one look at his skin was enough for some people to forget all that. Still, Marcus went home that night with his conscience clear. He'd done his job, or so he thought. The next day, he arrived to find chaos. Eleanor's son, Chad Whitfield, was in the hallway, red-faced and shouting at the staff. I told you people yesterday. My mother doesn't want him touching her. Sir, please lower your voice. A nurse tried to calm him. I don't care. This hospital better find another doctor or I'll sue. Marcus approached calmly. Mr. Whitfield, I'm Dr. Hill. Understand your concerns. Oh, you understand, huh? Chad sneered. You think you can talk your way out of this? My family's not going to be some experiment for your diversity program. The words stung, but Marcus stood tall. Sir, your mother's alive because of the team I led. I'd appreciate a little respect. Chad stepped closer, eyes full of venom. Respect? You people always play the victim. You're lucky this hospital even lets you near her. That's when security stepped in. Sir, you need to leave, the guard said firmly. Chad glared at Marcus one last time before storming off. This isn't over. Marcus turned and walked away, fists clenched but his composure intact. He dealt with worse. But something about this family, it felt different. He couldn't shake the feeling that the story wasn't over. Days passed. Eleanor refused to speak to him. She demanded another doctor, but no one wanted to take over, not after the way she and her son had treated the staff. So Marcus stayed assigned by default. He continued checking her charts, keeping his distance, focusing only on her recovery. But then, strange things started happening. One morning, a nurse found a note taped to Marcus's locker. You don't belong here. The next day, his car windshield was scratched with the word, Go back. At first, he tried to ignore it. But when he came in one evening and found a small Confederate flag folded neatly inside his locker, he knew this wasn't random. Someone was trying to get under his skin, and he had a feeling he knew who. But before he could report it, something far more serious happened, and it would flip everything upside down. A week had passed since the surgery, and while Eleanor's body was healing, her spirit seemed poisoned with something Marcus couldn't treat. She refused physical therapy, refused medication at times, and even refused to speak to most of the nursing staff. Every time Marcus entered the room, she would look away, tight-lipped, silent, as though the sight of him physically offended her. Still, Marcus did his rounds. He didn't need her approval. He just needed her alive. But the more he tried to remain professional, the more her bitterness seemed to grow. One afternoon, Marcus overheard her speaking with her daughter, Caroline, a woman in her early 30s who had driven in from Alabama. Marcus had stepped into the hallway, but their voices carried through the half-open door. I can't believe they let him touch me, Eleanor whispered harshly. Of all the doctors in this city, it had to be one of them. Mom, please, Carolyn said softly. He saved your life. I didn't ask him to. Carolyn sighed. Dad would have wanted you to be grateful. There was silence for a few moments before Eleanor's voice came again, lower, colder. Your father fought for what he believed in. The world's changing, Carolyn, but not for the better. These people, they're trying to take over everything. I can feel it, Carolyn didn't respond. But when she stepped out of the room and saw Marcus waiting, their eyes met, and hers said what her lips couldn't. I'm sorry. Later that night, Marcus sat in the hospital cafeteria with Nurse Lisa, and another doctor, Dr. Patel. The cafeteria was mostly empty, the hum of vending machines filling the silence. Patel looked up from his sandwich. "I heard about the Whitfields. You holding up okay?" Marcus shrugged. "I'm fine." "It's nothing new," Lisa frowned. "Nothing new doesn't make it right." "You shouldn't have to deal with that." Marcus gave a tired smile. "I know, but if I walked away every time someone couldn't see past my skin, I wouldn't be where I am." Before anyone could respond, the loudspeaker crackled. "Code Blue, room 407. Code Blue, room 407. They froze. That was Eleanor's room. Marcus dropped his coffee and sprinted toward the elevators. When he burst into room 407, chaos reigned. Nurses were moving frantically, alarms blaring. Eleanor was unresponsive again, her heart rate dropping fast. "Get me the crash cart," Marcus shouted. He didn't hesitate. He grabbed the defibrillator paddles, shouted "clear," and pressed them to her chest. Her body jolted. No rhythm. Again. "Clear." A weak pulse flickered, then steadied. "Come on, Mrs. Whitfield," Marcus muttered under his breath. "Not like this." Finally, her vitals stabilized. Everyone in the room exhaled in relief. Marcus looked around. What happened? A nurse handed him the chart, her face pale. She was given the wrong dosage of anticoagulants. Twice the amount prescribed. Marcus's eyes widened. What? Who authorized that? The nurse shook her head. "It's on the system, but it wasn't you. Someone logged in under your ID." He froze. "That's impossible." But when he checked the records, there it was. His name, his digital signature. The dosage increase ordered at 3:12 p.m., a time when Marcus had been in surgery elsewhere. Someone was trying to frame him. By the next morning, word had spread. The hospital's administration called Marcus in for an internal review. Sitting across from him were Dr. Samuelson, the head of surgery, and an HR representative. "Dr. Hill," Samuelson began, "we've received a report of medication malpractice on one of your patients." Marcus leaned forward. "I didn't make that order." "Someone used my credentials." Samuelson's face was unreadable. "You're saying your login was compromised?" "Yes, I was in the OR at the time." "There are witnesses." The HR rep adjusted her glasses. "We'll review the access logs. But until this is cleared, we'll have to temporarily suspend your privileges with that patient." "You're removing me from her case?" "It's a precaution," she said flatly. Marcus clenched his fists under the table. "She's alive because of me." "I deserve to see this through," Samuelson sighed. "Dr. Hill, I know this is frustrating, but let's let the investigation run its course." Marcus walked out of that meeting feeling hollow. It wasn't just about the case, it was about everything it represented. Years of proving himself, of fighting stereotypes, all undone by one digital entry that anyone could have made. That evening, as he packed up his locker, Lisa walked in. "I heard what happened. You think it's them, don't you?" Marcus nodded. "Chad or someone he knows, but I can't prove it yet." Lisa hesitated. "Then we'll find proof. Because if they're trying to ruin you, they picked the wrong doctor." Meanwhile, in her hospital room, Eleanor was recovering, slower than before, but alive. Her son Chad came to visit, standing by her bed with a grim smile. "You look better, Mom." She nodded weakly. "That man's gone, right?" "Yeah," Chad said, smirking. "I made sure of it." "What do you mean?" "Let's just say he's not your doctor anymore. And after what I've got planned, he won't be anyone's doctor for long." Eleanor frowned faintly. "Chad, don't do anything stupid. Relax, Mom," he said, leaning in close. "I'm just giving him what he deserves." But outside the door, Caroline had overheard everything. Her face turned pale. She waited until Chad left, then rushed down the hall to find Marcus. She found him sitting alone in the staff lounge, staring at the floor. "Dr. Hill," she said quietly. He looked up, surprised. "Caroline, everything okay?" She took a deep breath. "It's my brother. He's the one behind all this." Marcus frowned. "What are you talking about? He hacked your hospital account." "He's been talking to one of his friends who used to work in IT here. They planted those fake orders to get you fired." Marcus stood slowly, disbelief in his eyes. You're sure? She nodded. I heard him say it. Do you have proof? She hesitated. Not yet. But I can get it. He's reckless. He keeps everything on his laptop. Marcus ran a hand over his face. This could destroy him, and you, Caroline's voice trembled. I don't care. What he's doing is wrong. You saved our mother's life? The least we can do is clear your name. That night, Caroline drove home to confront Chad. She waited until he went to bed, then sneaked into his office and opened his laptop. Her hands shook as she searched through folders until she found a hidden directory labeled Hill_proof. Inside were screenshots, forged records, and even chat logs where Chad bragged about putting that doctor in his place. She copied everything onto a USB drive, just as Chad's voice came from behind her. What the hell are you doing? She froze, slowly turned around. Chad stood in the doorway, eyes dark, jaw clenched. Going through my stuff, huh? He said. Chad, you need to stop this, she pleaded. You're going to ruin everything. He took a step forward. You don't understand, Caroline. People like him, they think they're better than us. Someone's got to remind them of their place. She shook her head. No, the only one out of place is you. He lunged for her, but she bolted out the door, clutching the USB drive. She ran to her car, heart pounding, and sped straight to the hospital. Marcus was still there, working late, when Caroline burst into his office, breathless. I got it, she said, slamming the USB down on his desk. Everything's in here, the fake logs, the messages, all of it. Marcus stared at her, speechless. You actually did it. Before he could say another word, Chad's voice boomed from the hallway. Caroline. He stormed into the office, red-faced. You think you can betray your own family for him? Security rushed in seconds later, restraining him as he shouted every insult in the book. But Marcus didn't move. He just stood there, watching as the truth finally caught up to the man who tried to destroy him. The next morning, the hospital administration reviewed the evidence. Chad was arrested for identity fraud and attempted medical sabotage. The board issued a full apology to Marcus and reinstated him immediately. When Marcus walked back into the ICU, Eleanor looked at him with watery eyes. Her voice was frail, but her pride was gone. Dr. Hill, she whispered. I heard what happened. Marcus nodded. Your daughter did the right thing. Eleanor's eyes filled with tears. I was wrong about you. He paused, then said quietly, You were wrong about a lot of people. She nodded, unable to speak. For the first time, she reached out a trembling hand. Marcus hesitated for a second, then took it. Weeks later, as Eleanor was discharged, she turned to Marcus and said, Thank you, not just for saving my life, but for showing me something I should have seen a long time ago. Marcus gave a small smile. You're welcome, Mrs. Whitfield. Take care of yourself. As she left with her daughter, Marcus stood by the window, watching the sun rise over the city. Another day, another chance to make a difference, no matter who stood in front of him. Because for Dr. Marcus Hill, being a doctor wasn't about who deserved saving. It was about saving them anyway. And that, folks, is the story of Dr. Marcus Hill, a man who proved that compassion is stronger than hate. If this story inspired you, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more powerful real-life stories that hit deep. Because sometimes the ones who judge us most harshly end up learning the hardest lessons of all.